Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I am live again doing a North London derby with my special guest, who's also a co-host on the show. But this time, we're talking men's football, Arsenal men's for the North London derby. I'm joined by Tim Stillman himself, but you may know him as Stillberto.
Hello, thank you for having me. I haven't spoken to you for ages. It's been about 3 hours, hasn't it?
Literally like 3 hours. I feel like I've been here in this space all day, but it's been a long day. It's going to be a hectic weekend for both men's and women's football. So no surprise,
Definitely.
we're busy. But
Are you covering the women's game on Sunday as well?
I don't know how I will be because I know I'm going to be at AFTV office for the watch along for the men's game.
Okay.
So I don't know how I'm going to be in two places at once. I've got to figure it out, to be honest with you. I might have to watch one on my phone and then watch the men's game at the office. So
Yeah, I'm going to the women's game, and I'm probably going to watch on my iPad.
okay.
But I don't know where yet. Like, I might just sit down in Borehamwood High Street with my headphones in and just watch it on my iPad. I don't know.
Just find a little corner.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like Borehamwood's quite a Tottenham area, so like
Oh yeah.
trying to watch it in a pub, I might, but at the same time, might not.
Probably not. What's your feeling towards this game though? Because I know a lot of Arsenal fans, in particular, from what I've heard and what I've seen on the Twitter timelines, a big percentage of them are not confident for obvious reasons, I guess.
Mm.
How do you feel, Arsenal fans, or you as an Arsenal fan? How do you feel going into this game?
Yeah, I can't pretend I'm massively confident. I'm clinging to all these kind of straws, like form goes out the window in a derby and all of that. I think there's an yeah. I think there's an element of truth to that. I don't think that's the entire truth, but I do think sometimes, like these games, because they're so pressured, I think managers can often just be like, and I wonder if Arteta will do this. It will just be like, right, back to basics. Like, I cannot lose this game. I cannot mess around. And whether we'll get a bit of that. Maybe Arsenal reverting to some old formations they find comfortable.
What is
Spurs have
that
been really
formation? What is
well.
that formation you find comfortable?
Yeah, well, I wonder if he'll go back to three at the back. He's not
I
done
was
that for a
thinking,
few weeks, and I wonder if he'll just go, okay, Tottenham, hurts to say, are playing really well at the moment. They've got some really good strikers. Let's go back to three at the back. Let's go back to what we're a bit more comfortable, or at least what we know better.
yeah.
But I do wonder as well, because Tottenham have been playing on the counter attack, and I wonder if Arsenal will just go, okay, we're going to let you have the ball, and yeah, exactly, we're not going to let you counter us. We're going to let you have the ball. And that, who knows if that'll actually work. But to be honest with you, I'm trying not to think about it too much.
I mean, who are the players that scare you the most? I know we don't want to talk about Tottenham too much, but we kind of have to. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not confident. Who are the reasons? I'm guessing Kane, Son.
Yeah, Kane and Son. So I think everyone knows about Kane and Son, right? So I think the player I'd probably pick out apart from them is Ndombele. In midfield. Unfortunately, I think he's really, really good. I think he's looking like the player I hope Thomas Partey will be for Arsenal. Just that ability to carry the ball, to get around pressure. And I look at our midfield, and to be honest, I think I could outrun some of our midfield sometimes.
Name them. Name and shame. Who is
Well,
that?
Xhaka and Ceballos, I reckon, dodgy hip and all, I reckon I could give them a good going over 200 meters. But in all
Wow.
seriousness, like the lack of like athleticism in the Arsenal midfield, I think is a big concern. And in Ndombele, they've just got this player who's really skillful, really good in tight spaces, and I worry about like getting attracted to him and leaving Kane and Son in space.
Yeah.
I think he's been a really good player for Spurs this season, and one of the reasons they've got better.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know statistically, but I feel like from watching some of their games, Son and Kane love making those running behinds, and I feel like most of the balls do come from Ndombele in that midfield. So
Yeah, big time.
yeah, I mean, normally in previous seasons, whenever I talk about a North London derby, there's always a combined starting 11. I don't think we've got any space in there this season. Is there any players that would fit into a combined Arsenal players that would fit into a combined starting 11?
It's that's kind of, I kind of don't want to answer that question because I'm not sure how many Arsenal players would actually get into
Yeah.
it, because like even Arsenal's best player, right, is probably Aubameyang, but like Spurs have got Kane and Son, so And I think they're all of a similar level, to be honest. So I don't think Spurs are looking at us and going, "Oh, I wish we had Aubameyang," because they're kind of sorted in that area. I guess at fullback, last season I definitely would have said at fullback, but again, Spurs bought Reguilon from Real Madrid, and he looks really good.
We bought
as
Gabriel.
well. Yeah. So Gabriel is definitely one. I think I don't think Spurs are super strong at centre back. I think they protect their centre backs well. I don't think their centre backs are amazing. Like Eric Dyer is not an amazing centre half. I think they really protect them well. So Gabriel definitely be someone that would show up on that. I still think Bukayo Saka as well. I think Bukayo Saka is close to our best player at the moment, even given his age, and I think he'd get into. I think he'd get into most teams, to be honest. Certainly, in 2 years' time, he'll get into any team. I think so. So Saka is one, big hope for us. I think, and yeah, wherever you want to play him, I think he'd get in that Spurs team.
Shall we have a look at your? Is this a predicted starting 11 or a team that you think that will be out?
So my kind of predicted. This is what I think Mikel Arteta will do, right? And it's kind of difficult to predict because he's played a few different formations recently, trying to get things going. I think he's going to go back to the 3-4-3. So I think he's going to go back to the 3 at the back.
Sorry. I forgot to.
It might look like that sometimes, yeah.
It looks a mess.
and yeah, so particularly with Kane and Son and the way that Son likes to run into that channel, I think he'll want David Luiz there, a bit of experience in there, and Louise, he is quite mobile still. I think he's quite fast, despite his age. Gabriel, obviously. I think Kieran Tierney, left-sided centre half, and we'll see Saka at left wing back. I think. I think he will put El Neni in midfield, even though El Neni started on Thursday. Like I said, with Ndombele, I worry about Spurs just running through Arsenal a bit too easily. So I think he'll put El Neni in just for an added little bit of kind of.
El Neni's a workhorse.
Yeah, like that, like some legs in there, because Xhaka and Ceballos, it's too slow. It's far too slow. So yeah, I think El Neni will come back in. Like up front with Pepe suspended, I don't think he's got an awful lot of choice in that front three, which is unfortunate because it's not really working very well. But I can't see him doing a lot else. Maybe he'll swap Aubameyang and Willian over just to keep them guessing a little bit. But I can't really see another front three or him really changing formation. I think he'll fall back on this because, for better or for worse, the players know it. And it's the formation they've played with some success against, and again, it hurts to describe Spurs like this, but against the bigger teams. And I wonder if... Yeah, I know.
Bigger teams? I mean, they're doing all right. They're doing okay, but definitely not a bigger team.
No, obviously not bigger than Arsenal, but doing well in the league, kind of thing. So I just wonder if he'll fall back on that and just kind of say, okay, we're gonna try and let Spurs have the ball and see what they do with it.
I mean, it's a good starting 11. It's quite different to mine, but mine's always a bit of a joke according to my subscribers. That they think I'm a bit crazy. Billy says though, play Lacazette at number 10. Now, a lot of people saying he looked like he played a deeper number 10 role yesterday in Europa League. Do you think that's how he should play against Spurs, or we getting carried away because he scored a amazing goal?
I think maybe we're getting a little bit, like we've seen this a few times this season, where something's worked in the Europa League and we think great, and then we try it in the Premier League and it doesn't really work. I think what worked, because Lacazette played at 10 in the Mulder game and didn't look that great. I think what really worked was that we kind of had Maitland-Niles kind of pushing up and supporting him as well. So we almost had like two number 10s.
Yeah.
I think that really works really well because Maitland-Niles and Lacazette are very different players and good blend of qualities. I wouldn't play Lacazette on his own as a number 10. But then again, like Arteta has done it a couple of times, so he's obviously interested in it. And Lacazette, when he plays as a 9, he comes out anyway. So it wouldn't shock me, but I'm not sure I'd do it for this game.
Maybe there's just going to be some free flow football like we saw in Europa League, because I felt like what did Arteta tell them? Because it just felt like they just had freedom to play. There was a lot of interchanging,
Yeah,
switching. Maitland-Niles obviously was playing a midfield role, but more of a creative midfield, it felt like at times.
yeah.
So I don't know what the actual tactics were and what he told the players at the beginning of that game, but he needs to tell them on Sunday.
Yeah, it was more of like it was more of a kind of box shape in midfield that he did. So like the wide players kind of came in, and then he had Maitland-Niles and Lacazette, and basically he just got everyone really close together, and that's been a big problem for Arsenal, just in that kind of area behind the forwards, just like not having anyone at all, or just having one player, and like you said, against Rapid Vienna, he had 3 or 4 players there.
Yeah.
Again, I wouldn't be against seeing that. I just don't think we're going to see it in a high stakes game like this. We might see it like next week against Burnley. I don't see him doing it at Spurs away.
Before I get on to the next fixtures, let's delve in more about this, and I'll get through some of the comments as well. Ashoki says, if Arteta picks the right players, play them in the right position, put the right lineup, then Arsenal have a chance to beat Tottenham on Sunday. The thing is, who are the right players?
Yep.
What is their right position? Because what is Aubameyang's position? Because he's down as centre forward, but he plays left wing.
Yeah.
What is Saka's actual position? He's a left midfielder, but he plays sometimes left wing, left back. I don't know. And what is the right lineup?
Indeed, and this is the thing. I don't think Arteta knows that at the moment. But that is exactly right. Like we are not enormously inferior to Spurs in terms of talent, like at all. We've got I guess we kind of forget, and it's easy to forget because we're not doing well. But we do have really talented players, and I completely agree. Like we kept I wouldn't be surprised if we won at all.
You say you wouldn't be surprised if you won?
I wouldn't be massively surprised. I don't think we're going to. I think it might be a draw, to be honest. But I wouldn't come away thinking, oh my God, I can't believe we won. I didn't see that coming. I don't think there is actually that much between these teams. There is in terms of form, but in terms of talent. But that comment is exactly right. And it sounds kind of redundant, but if Arteta gets it right, it's not like playing Liverpool where it's like even if Arteta gets it right, we'll probably lose. If Arteta gets it right, we can and probably will win.
Definitely. Akindele is definitely not a fan of Granit Xhaka because if Xhaka plays, we ain't winning nothing on Sunday. And he also says our midfield should be Ainsley Maitland-Niles, El Neni, Thomas Partey if fit in the middle. It won't happen though. It'll be a Xhaka show. Now, I was going to ask you, are there any players? I know he's mentioned Maitland-Niles there. Were there any players from the Europa League game that you think should get a start in Sunday's game?
I really like Maitland. Well, I like what I've seen of Maitland-Niles in midfield, and I know we haven't seen it that often, but every time I've seen it, I think it's been quite good. And I've really never understood why it only happens once or twice a season. I'm not saying that I think he would be an absolute world beater, but I think it's worth more of a look. I'd really I think Maitland-Niles, El Neni, and Partey would be a really, really good midfield for this game.
Sounds good. It sounds so good, honestly.
Yeah, particularly up against a player like Ndombele. I feel like there's a really good mixture of athleticism, skill,
Speed.
good defenders, speed in there. It's probably not the most creative midfield, but then again, I don't think Arsenal really have any creative midfielders anyway. So I think Maitland-Niles in midfield is something I think he's probably not quite fit enough for a game like this. But he's another player I really, really like. I'm desperate for him to succeed, but he needs to demonstrate some fitness really. But I'd love to see that midfield 3 on Sunday, or another game. I really like our midfield is so bad and the combinations are so bad that that's why I don't understand why Maitland-Niles doesn't get more of a chance there, because I don't think our midfield is great, and therefore I don't see that it's not something worth looking at, definitely.
Yeah, that's not a new problem either though, because I remember under Emery, he couldn't find that midfield combination. And at the time, I think 3 of the players that I wanted to see play regularly together were Ozil, Torreira, and was it Ceballos? I think when Ceballos came in, I thought that would have been a really good midfield trio, but it rarely happened. I remember. So it feels like it's always been a problem in the midfield finding that right formula. So I don't know what to expect, honestly. Sofian
Yeah.
says play a team of Leno. Maitland-Niles is getting a lot of call-ups here from
Yeah.
comments. Holding, I'm guessing that Maitland-Niles at left wing back.
Right back. Yeah.
Right back, okay. Maitland-Niles, Holding, Gabriel, Tierney, Saka. This is a lot of young players. Willock, El Neni, Ceballos, Aubameyang, and Lacazette. I mean, I just don't know. I think that's a lot of young players there. Willock.
Yeah. But the interesting thing about that particular, like, that could be like a 4-4-2, but it could be like a bit of a 3-5-2 as well. And we know that Arteta likes to he likes his players to play like a couple of different roles. And I could see something like that where maybe when we've got the ball, it's a 4-4-2, and when we haven't, it's a 3-5-2. And you've kind of got players drifting around a little bit. But that looks like that would probably be more of a 4-4-2, maybe with Ceballos kind of coming off the left flank, and maybe combining a little bit with Aubameyang just off Lacazette. Again, would not be against that at all if that turned out to be the team sheet on Sunday.
Sorry, I've just realised, and Tim can vouch for me with this because I literally did this 20 seconds before the stream started, and I've just realised there are actually 12 players here. So
that's fine.
Yeah,
let's go for it. Let's.
Yeah, we need. Which player was it? Because obviously I've put in your players, but which player was it that wasn't meant to be there? Was it Ceballos?
Yeah. So Xhaka on any midfield. It was Ceballos. Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Just imagine Ceballos isn't there, and that is Tim starting 11. Sophia says I predict him playing 5 at the back. If you're going to do that, you should play 5-3-2. The more strikers, the more chance you have of scoring. We don't really play 2 up front though.
No, it's something Emery did towards the end, and you know what the thing is, like, I think both Aubameyang and Lacazette would like to play with a strike partner. I'm not sure that together they're a brilliant strike partnership, but I think Lacazette is not enough of a goal scorer to play on his own up front, and Aubameyang is enough of a goal scorer to do that, but he doesn't really do the other things. And so I think both of them would actually quite like to play as a front pairing. But again, it's something that I think is well worth a try. To be honest, like a kind of 3-5-2, and then we almost don't have to worry quite as much about the fact that we haven't got any goal scoring midfielders that, apart from Joe Willock, really, that make those runs into the area. If you play 2 strikers, it kind of minimises that.
Okay. Sorry, whilst you were talking, I was trying to get up my starting 11, which hopefully there isn't 12 players in there. Let's have a look, which they're probably not going to agree with mine anyway, because there's no Maitland-Niles for one. Mustin says, I'd play 3-4-3 with Leno in goal, Gabriel, Louise, sorry, let me move this out of the way, Gabriel, Louise, Tierney and Bellerin as right wing back, Saka left wing back, Ceballos and Ainsley again in the midfield. Xhaka should not bother turning up. Front 3, Nelson on the left, Lacazette and Aubameyang. It's a very different from starting 11 that I've seen from others because it has Nelson in there, which mine does too.
Yeah. It's kind of similar to mine. Certainly similar formation to mine. And I'm sensing not a lot of love for Granit Xhaka,
I didn't realise it got that bad recently.
which I kind of understand. I do think Arsenal have kind of moved past Xhaka now and should try something else. But the idea of Reece Nelson on the left again, I think he's played really well there in the Europa League. I don't think Nelson is a really wide out and out winger. I think he likes coming in field. And he can do that a lot from the left. If he could just lift his end product, I think he'd be a really, really good player. But he just sometimes doesn't quite have that finish, that kind of killer instinct.
So he wouldn't make it for you?
Probably not. But then again, I'm not sure that Willian is more likely to score or make a goal than Reece Nelson at the moment. So again, wouldn't be against it.
Everyone has been saying to me, Willian loves scoring against Tottenham. That is the stat that everyone keeps saying to me. Don't forget, Willian loves scoring against Tottenham.
Yeah, I think he scored twice against them last season for Chelsea. Yeah, that's actually quite right. I think he does, and he's a player, by the way, that Jose Mourinho absolutely loves. Brought him to Chelsea, loved him at Chelsea, wanted to bring him to Man United, wanted to bring him to Tottenham this summer, but they were a bit more sensible than us and didn't want to do a 3-year deal. This is a player Mourinho absolutely loves working with. So it'd be very fitting. And look, he needs it. He needs to do something now. and he'd be forgiven a lot of sins by scoring a goal against Tottenham on Sunday.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of people in the comments are saying Granit Xhaka this, Granit Xhaka that, but there's actually a lot of fans that are not in favour of Willian. So if he scores a sublime free kick, which I think I've predicted him to do so, if we win, that is, I think he will turn a lot of haters into lovers.
Big time, and he really needs to. Like, he's the whole point of signing Willian was supposed to be that he fits in straight away, and he hasn't. And he had that Dubai thing as well, and I think, and when you come from Chelsea, you're always going to get a slightly harder time, I think. And particularly when you're an experienced player that comes in from Chelsea, people want to see something from you. I don't think he's been terrible, but he's just been, I think, distinctly average. And there's a lot of not suspicion, but a lot of people questioning, quite rightly, why did he get a 3-year contract? His agent is mates with a lot of people at Arsenal, and he needs to prove himself, and there's no better time or place to do it than Sunday at Spurs.
This is the time. Now, I wanted to read something that I read today, actually, which I found super interesting, but I don't know if it's going to ruin your evening or not. Depends. It's a few stats and stuff. So, as we know, Tottenham Hotspur are unbeaten in their last 6 Premier League games. No, 6 Premier League home encounters, sorry. I'm sure you know this because I feel like you just remember stats like this. Their last 6 Premier League home encounters with Arsenal, so they've won 4 and drawn 2. And Jose Mourinho is undefeated in all 10 of his home matches against Arsenal in all competitions with various clubs. So whether that's with Chelsea, whether that's with Man United, at their home grounds, he's unbeaten against us. And just another one just to throw in there, because I haven't actually asked for your score prediction yet. Harry Kane has scored 10 goals in all competitions against Arsenal. If he scores on Sunday, he'll be the outright highest goal scorer in competitive Arsenal v Spurs matches in history, ahead of Emmanuel Adebayor and Bobby Smith. Did you know that?
I knew I knew that last one, because of course Emmanuel Adebayor scored for both teams in the North London derby. But and look, the key is don't concede a penalty because quite a lot of his goals against us are penalties. But obviously all of those statistics are horribly depressing. But at some point, all of these runs are broken. And look, I remember we went 9 years without losing to Spurs between 99 to 2008. All of those runs come to an end at some point. The Mourinho, and there was the whole Mourinho Wenger thing, and that came to an end at some point. It all ends at some point. It doesn't go on forever. So, what better time and place than Sunday?
I hope so. I hope you're right. I've got a few more starting 11 10. I'm sure I had one from there's one from a Spurs fan here, from Jeremy Kinsella. He says, we Spurs will be Louise. I'm hearing Louise is not available, and it will be
he's got COVID, hasn't he?
Oh, is that the reason? I was wondering what it was. I thought this was more Mourinho mind games.
Yeah, I mean it could be, but I heard that he's got COVID, so.
And that it's going to be Joe Hart in goal, apparently.
Yeah, quite probably, but I think Tottenham's team picks itself at the moment because they're winning, and so the team Jeremy's put up, that's the team they're playing largely at the moment. And it's working, so I'm certain that's absolutely what they'll do again. But from Arsenal's point of view, we're probably a bit more difficult for them to predict at the moment because we're not playing well. We've been trying lots of things. I think, pretty much know exactly who Spurs are going to pick, how they're going to approach the game, and it's just down to whether we can do anything about it. I don't think Spurs are going to have as good an idea about what we're going to do. And that's not to say that what we're going to do is going to be any good. I can't promise you that, unfortunately. But we're going to be, I think, more of a surprise for them than they are for us, for better or for worse.
Oh, I was getting really positive there.
But of course, Spurs as well, they've been playing Bergwijn with Son and Kane, and he's been playing really well. But obviously they're going to have Bale on the bench. Will
they? I mean, probably, but still, imagine he pulls that Bell for the starting 11, we'll all be like, oh, this is different.
They seem to have bought him as a bit of a super sub. Well, they've got him on loan rather, but and look, if we manage to nullify that front three and they bring Bale on, again, slightly depressing, really, with that kind of firepower, but But yeah, again, like, to be honest though, he's not going to do anything different to what Son or Bergwijn do. He's not tactically different. He's just very talented player.
Who is this? Sorry.
Bale.
Oh yeah, that one. Do you know who is becoming? I can't believe I'm talking about this team so much. Serge Aurier. I felt like at one time he just was useless for Spurs, but I feel like he's coming into his own. When the games that I've seen him play, when he plays as a wing back, the way he comes in on the wing, that's another threat. I actually feel threatened, which is crazy. This is the game I always look forward to, and this year I don't. So
he is, but and he's another one. He's playing well recently, but I don't know. I've seen this before from Serge Aurier. Like, he is a good player. He plays well, but I think he's a bit like David Luiz, maybe. Like, that, like, he can do top class performances, but I think he's got a mistake in him still. Like, if I were Arteta, I'd still be maybe targeting him a little bit.
Speaking of David Luiz and Thomas Partey, actually, these are two players who are not exactly 100% sure that they'll play. Thomas Partey, I think that's probably like a 20% chance. But David Luiz, I mean, Arteta did say in a press conference earlier this week, I believe, that obviously David Luiz won't play in the Europa League game and he may not be available for Sunday. Not sure how true that is. They said they're watching him and see how well his cut is. I know we've both put him in our starting 11s, but do you think it's likely that he'll play on Sunday?
Yep. Yeah, I think he'll play. Yeah, I definitely think he'll play. I think, like, not playing him on Thursday, I think that was a little bit of publicity because Arsenal got some bad publicity for keeping him on against Wolves. I think it was little bit like, yeah, exactly. Like, I don't think they were going to play David Luiz anyway, and I think it was a little bit, oh look, we are looking after the player actually, even though we sent him back on with his head cut open. And so I think there was a little bit of that in it, and obviously he's 33, so we kind of want to look after him. I think we'll want him for this game because that right-sided centre-back position is so important because that's exactly where Son will be playing. And
I just David Luiz is the man for the job.
Well, it depends which David Luiz. He could be, and he might be the absolute worst person because he might give away a penalty or something. But
that's what I was thinking.
I still think it's essentially between him and Rob Holding, and I'd prefer Louise of those two. I quite like Rob Holding, but I think pace wise, Son would have him.
There's also Pablo Mari, who became captain at the end of the game and played the full 90 minutes, but which makes me believe that he's not going to play on Sunday, but he could feature.
Yeah, no, too early. Yeah, I'm sure he'll be on the bench, but too early. I think for him, and I don't think. I think he is in like as a bit of an understudy for Gabriel because he's that left-footed centre half. I definitely don't see him starting this game. I think he'll start the next Europa League game, maybe the League Cup game. I don't think we'll see him in a Premier League team, maybe this side of Christmas.
Oh, well, Jeremy Kinsella, who was the Spurs fan, says, if Joe Hart is in goal, congratulations. With 3 points. I mean,
has he played for Spurs yet? Well, not in the Premier League, I don't think.
He played on Thursday.
I don't know
how many times, but I watched the end of that game because it was before ours, and I saw, to be fair, the last goal was pretty good from there. I don't know which player it was, to be honest with you. But Joe Hart didn't really outstretch his body. He didn't look that good in goal from what I saw.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is as well for goalkeepers, when you don't play all the time, it can be difficult to come in and just perform. And I think Joe Hart's been on a bit of a downward spiral for a while. Put it this way, I'd be happier to see him in goal than Louise. Put it that way.
Me too. Honestly, that would be like our little lifeline. Not that we need one. Not that we need one.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. There's a few more starting 11s coming in here. From Jesse, who says my lineup would be Leno in goal, right back Bellerin, centre backs David Luiz and Gabriel, left back Tierney, right midfield Willian, centre mid Ceballos along with El Neni, left mid Saka, striker Lacazette. 2 up front, Lacazette and Aubameyang. 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1 wide. You're doing great. Thank you, Jesse. And there was also another one, wasn't there? Oh, no, it wasn't. I was going to read a comment from one of my members, but he's just slagging off Xhaka again. What is it?
Yeah, and I kind of get that, and I think the thing is as well in this game, like, because Tottenham have so much movement in that area of the pitch and so much like athleticism with Ndombele and Son, and even Kane dropping into that area, yeah, I'd have concerns about Xhaka as well. But he's another one who I think is capable and a talented player. I don't think he's the right player for Arsenal, and I don't think he ever really has been. But I don't think he's a bad footballer. I think he probably just doesn't fit Arsenal's team. But he's another one. Like, I wouldn't be that surprised if he plays and plays well. Somehow, I do think he has it. He has it in him. But a lot. It just depends so much on what's going on around him. Frankly, we've never protected him that well and his limitations, which is why I think we should move on from him now. And I think we will with Partey. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of this could hinge on A, if Partey's available, and B, if he's actually fit.
I feel like I'm not putting you under pressure here, but I feel like you're one of the in the nose type of thing. Thomas Partey, come on, is he playing or not on the weekend?
So I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I think but I'll give you a prediction. I think he will. Actually, I think he will. And obviously, they'll put him nowhere near the Europa League game next Thursday night. They don't need to do that.
Yeah.
I think he will start, because if we start Xhaka and Ceballos together, I think we could be in trouble. And I think Arteta probably knows that.
If by 9 p.m. Arsenal have not released their Instagram and Twitter training footage of today's training session, that tells me that Thomas Partey might have been there, because I feel like they always post it hours before the training session takes place. But if they show us that Thomas Partey was there, that means we know he's kind of available.
Yeah, definitely, because they'll have another training session tomorrow as well. So if they get him in training today and tomorrow and he's fine, I think he'll start. So that's why I'm going to predict that he's that. Yeah. Go on. I'll go back on my initial prediction. I think him and Elneny will start in midfield.
Oh my God! Should I change your? Oh, I don't know. Well, the people here will know. Elneny. I want to see that. I want to see both of them in the midfield, but it just depends how quickly you can get back into the team. Now, Tim, I don't even know if I want to know this, but I have to ask you at some point. What's your score prediction?
So I'm always boring with derbies, and I usually predict a draw just because the games are so difficult to predict, and there's not that much between the teams. I'm going to say 1-1. I think, and I wouldn't be, as much as I think Arsenal's season could really, really use a North London derby win to kick it off.
Yeah.
I don't think a draw away at Spurs would be a terrible result, as much as we all want to win. But yeah, I think this one, I think it would be a draw, 1-1.
1-1. Now I have another show that I was live on today after I spoke to you, and we preview the weekend's games along with Charlene, and we have this competition between us. Whoever gets the least predictions correct has to do a forfeit. So only because I didn't want to do a forfeit, I predicted a Tottenham win, but I don't actually I kind of think that, but that wasn't my genuine prediction.
Okay, fair enough.
My actual prediction is 2-1 either way, but I'm just praying that it's Arsenal. But at the same time, who on earth is scoring those goals? We only score on Thursdays.
Indeed. And maybe that should be the team talk. Like, just pretend it's Thursday, basically. Yeah. And Spurs are in the Europa League. They're a Europa League team as well. So
Yeah. That just about made qualification. Don't forget. Don't forget exactly. That one. So you're going 1-1.
Yes. Yeah. 1-1.
I don't like that prediction. I want 3 points, because what I'm going to ask you next is, obviously we're on 13 points after 10 games, is it? And I believe we're on the same points as Crystal Palace. And I should check this before.
Like behind Newcastle.
Yeah, Newcastle, Leeds. So my question is, I can't remember who all of their next games are. I know Newcastle's against Aston Villa's postponed. But let's say, for instance, Newcastle, Leeds, and Crystal Palace win their next 2 games, whoever their next 2 opponents are. And our next 2 opponents are Spurs and Burnley in the league.
Yep.
Let's say, how many points do you reckon we're getting out of those 2 games?
I think we'll beat Burnley at home. I think Burnley are bad this season. I think they're going to go down. So I'm quite confident about Burnley. I'm going to say 4 points from those 2. Yeah.
Well,
definite victory of Burnley. Yeah.
I'm hoping you're correct. For some reason, I don't have that type of confidence, I hate that this club is doing that to me right now. Because honestly, if I feel like if we only get 1 point out of those 2 games, I'm not even including Chelsea in that for December, we could be looking around Fulham's areas who actually have more goals. It's crazy. They've got more goals than us, but they've got less points.
Yeah, and we beat them 3-0 on the first day. Like we actually had a 3-goal head start on them as well. So I don't think that will happen. And not only that, but like I think the teams around us will lose game. I think after Christmas the Premier League will start to take on more of a familiar look. I think the other thing we kind of forget is it's been like 10 games beginning of December. Usually we're up to about 13, 14 games by now because the season started late. So like we feel like the season's older than it is. But we're still only like a quarter of the way through. I think Christmas will sort a lot of things out in the league, and I think you'll start to see like not entirely, but a bit something approaching normality again in the table. Like I think Man City will be back up in by New Year's Day. I think Man City will be back up in like the top 4 at least, for example.
They're 11th.
Yep.
Who are the next fixtures? Let me see if I can see that. Fulham, of course, which I'm sure they're gonna hopefully run. Well, not hopefully, but I'm sure they'll get like at least 3 goals. I mean, they got 5 against Burnley. God knows how many they'll get against. What is their next few games? So Fulham. It's a Manchester derby, 12th for December. I feel like there's always a Manchester derby in December because I actually went to one in 2017. And it was snowing. I couldn't get back to London on that day because that's how bad the weather was. And it was a really good game. I think Starne scored in it. Honestly, my memory is that bad. Can't remember. But they've always got a Manchester derby in December, it seems. I mean, they've got quite an easy run of games. Fulham, Man United, I guess, West Brom and Southampton.
Yeah. Like I mean, like Southampton will give them a chat, but I think Man City will kind of get back into the flow a little bit eventually. I think a lot of these teams will, hopefully us too. But and also I think some of these teams like Villa, like Leeds, well, maybe not Leeds actually, but yeah, some of these teams and Tottenham, like I think they'll start to maybe pare back just a little bit.
Really? I mean, Southampton, out of the games that we have in December, which feels like so many compared to Man City's that I just mentioned. So Tottenham, Burnley, Southampton, Everton, and Chelsea.
Yeah.
That's 5 games.
Yeah,
I don't see that many points, if I'm honest with you, unless we pick up form. I mean, if we get a win on Sunday, that form should go through the roof. And that should be at least 4 wins out of 5, to be honest with you.
Yeah, to be honest, I see like maybe mixed results for us in December, like maybe a draw with Everton, maybe we lose to Chelsea, but definitely beat Burnley, and and then we've got that Man City Carabao Cup game,
which I almost forgot about,
well. Yeah, and I mean, we probably won't win that, and I don't think too many of us will cry too many tears about that. But yeah, like I definitely see the league like taking on a slightly more normal look in 2021.
Do you know what's so funny about you said that? Because I remember, even though it felt like ages ago, when we beat Liverpool, I think it was to get to the next round, we didn't think we were going to beat them because they beat us a few days before in the league. And then we managed to beat them in the Carabao Cup on penalties. And it was just like, knowing our luck, we're going to get Man City or Tottenham. I thought we was going to get Tottenham, to be fair. And then we got Man City. But at the time, I was like, oh, it's fine. We're doing well. We beat Fulham. We beat them. We're doing all right.
Yeah, those were like better days, weren't they?
Yeah, so long ago.
Yeah, and like we beat like in the we've beaten Leicester away and Liverpool away in the Carabao Cup. So like we've come through some pretty tough tests already, and when you look at the way that we won the FA Cup last season, beating Man City and Chelsea in the semi-finals and finals, like I get the sense we're a bit of a cup team at the moment. But to be honest, like with the Carabao Cup, I just don't see that being like a big priority really. I think once we get through January and we realise maybe finishing in the top 4 is a bit distant, that the Europa League will be the one that takes on priority.
So where do you think we will finish this? I know it's crazy. I don't even know how you can answer that, to be honest. But like, if you was to just take it out on a whim, where do you think we could finish?
I think maybe 6th or 7th. It's generous at the moment. Yeah. I do think we'll get back. Like I don't think we've got the players to be amazing. I think we'll get better. I don't think it'll be like this all season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, to be honest, it'll be a similar. Last season, we could have finished anywhere between 6th and like 11th. I think it will be kind of similar. So I guess if you want to nail me down on a position, I'll say 7th.
Here's how the table looks now. I know we're just literally just starting December. How do you think that top of the table will look summertime?
I think Liverpool, Man City, and Chelsea are the 3 teams I really see genuinely contesting for the title. I do think Tottenham will probably finish 4th.
Oh wow!
I
Are you
don't
saying that
know.
as an Arsenal fan or a football fan?
Neither. Um, I do think they'll peter out a bit, because I think people will cotton on to the fact they're a counter-attacking team, and they'll just give them the ball, and they might struggle with that a little bit. I do think Chelsea look quite dangerous. Like, now they've kind of sorted their defence out, and with the level of attacking talent they've got, they should be looking at winning the league. But I've got a feeling Liverpool might do it again. Actually,
No.
I didn't think that at the beginning of the season, but Man City just haven't been. Like, I think City will get better, but I don't look at them as a team that's going to win the league. Like, I think it will be Liverpool or Chelsea.
Do you know what's crazy? I did a predicted table for the end of the season, but I did it before the season started and when Chelsea had already started making movements in the transfer window. And from what I remember, I think I predicted Chelsea to win the league. And I think I put Liverpool 3rd. I think I did Chelsea, City, Liverpool.
Yeah.
Don't know how I put 4th, but it wasn't us. Just saying, it actually wasn't us, because I just don't.
Yeah.
Any manager will just walk into a team and get Champions League football, even though it's happened before. I just don't think it'll be that easy for Arteta, and I think we got all excited about the FA Cup. So I'm trying to be realistic, but this is too. It's gone past realistic now. It's a bit crazy to be in 14th right now.
Yeah, and look, we're better than 14th. Like, I don't think Arsenal are like quite a top 4 side at the moment, but yeah, like we're a lot better than this. I think so. Like, I see us kind of pushing for the top 6, but maybe not quite making it. I think maybe, like, probably looking at, well, if I've got like Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City as the top 3, Spurs 4th, then you're probably looking at Man United and Leicester 5th and 6th. So, and then there's and then there's like a bunch of teams that probably, like, a bit like the table looks there now at the moment, like Southampton, Wolves, Everton. Like, unfortunately, I think that's probably the pack that we're in at the moment, and those teams could probably finish in any order, just depending on small things.
In layman's terms, you just called us a mid-table club.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, yes.
Oh man, what have we become? Do you think there's any mid-table teams though that could possibly creep up into the top 4? Because I feel like it's an unpredictable season. Very unpredictable.
I think Southampton, maybe, if they can keep some key players fit. Southampton look like a really good team. Wolves are interesting at the moment, because they've changed their team quite a bit. They had a very settled team, and as we saw on Sunday, they've changed their formation. They've changed a few players. They've brought in some quite good young players as well, and they look a bit different this season. And I wonder if, like, the old Wolves kind of got worked out a little bit, and now that they've renewed and they've refreshed a little bit. So I think they could be interesting. I don't think Everton have got the squad quite to do it. I think they'll be in that.
I don't think Wolves have a big enough squad to do that. I feel like their squad's quite thin.
It's not huge, but I was reading this article the other day about how because Wolves have had like the fewest injuries in the Premier League, like the last 3 seasons.
Okay.
About how they do like recovery and things like that, and they're really like at the cutting edge of that type of thing. So they do have quite a small squad, but they don't really get many injuries. I'd like to know exactly what they do to do that, but it seems to work for them.
Oh, we'll see. Before I can say anything else, I just want to say there's a nice number of people watching the live. Don't forget to hit the like button when you're here. It helps, helps me know that you like this type of content, so I can continue doing it. What was I going to say next? I think we've pretty much summed everything up. I mean, for anyone that's just joined the stream, we did show. I might have to change yours actually because I put 12 players in there by accident. I'll show mine for the time being. For anyone that hasn't seen it, my predicted starting 11 for Sunday's North London derby, which on paper, I mean, in history and just in general, North London is red, but Lord knows what's going to happen on Sunday. Right, that is my starting 11 with Leno in goal, a back three of Kieran Tierney, Gabriel, and David Louise. Don't even know what this formation is. Just I don't know, but it works for me. A midfield trio of El Neni, Xhaka and Ceballos. Lacazette are kind of like a number 10 role. I'm not sure if that will ever happen. Reece Nelson might get a feature here because there's no Pepe, and I know Willian will play either on the left or the right, and they can interchange. And if Aubameyang is to play a centre forward again, that would be the front three for me. Not sure how you guys feel about that, but while I was talking, I should have edited your starting 11, which I don't know how I put 12 players in there.
Just like cross out the file.
I left mine. I had to take out yours, put yours in, and forgot to take out extra players of mine, which was a bit silly.
I think I changed my mind actually. I think I changed my mind because I said Xhaka and Ceballos, and then said no. Actually, I think El Neni is going to play instead of Ceballos. So I think maybe I threw you a little bit there.
So who is the midfield? So there's Leno, in goal. Back three. Yeah. Tierney, similar. Same. Tierney, Gabriel, David Louise.
Yeah, and then I've gone Bellerin and Saka as wing backs, and then El Neni and I subsequently changed my mind again and said I think Partey will start. So El Neni and Partey, and then Willian, Aubameyang, Lacazette up front. That's how I see it going.
Where's my Partey? Let me not put 12 players in there again and keep Xhaka and Partey. All right, so I think I've got 11 players now. You would never guess that I got a B in maths. Not that that's great, but you know.
But I'm happy with playing 12 players. Like,
yeah,
fine with me.
I mean, do what you got to do. I mean, we need something to get back on form. So once that downloads, hopefully I can pop that up on the screen for you to see. Tim's starting 11 with 11 players this time. If it will let me. Where are you? Ta-da! Has it worked?
There we go.
There it is. That is oh, Ham said to me, what is this lineup? No fullbacks. Where is Saka? Well, not to worry. Tim put Saka in his starting 11. Not to worry, Samuel. Tim's got Saka in there. I know. How can I not put Saka in? It's been one of our informed players.
Yeah, I fancy he'll play that kind of left wing back / left winger role again. I mean, it could be Maitland-Niles. He sometimes plays it, but yeah, I think it'll be Saka, and I think it should be Saka too.
Got a nice compliment here from Pat Brady saying Tim is a great guest.
Cheers, Pat.
And I can never go on a live stream on any channel without a comment like this. I'm not sure if you're bored of speaking about him or what your stance is either. Annie Rayton says we need Ozil. And did you see the banner of the fan? Well, you was there.
He was. That kid was right in front of me. He was literally directly in front of me. So yes, I did see it.
How have I not asked you about this? I mean, I messaged you on the morning of the when the tickets were released with my upset. I was basically acting like a sport brat. So I didn't get one. The website wasn't working. And you were one of the lucky few that I called Golden Ticket that got to go to the Europa League game.
Did.
How was it? I didn't even ask. How was it?
It was really, really nice. It was really nice. Like I kind of took it all in my stride, and I didn't think it would be emotional or anything, but it did actually feel emotional. Like the stewards applauded each individual fan as they came through the turnstiles, and that was like a really, really nice moment. And you know, just
look at you, just get in.
Yeah. But it was just really nice. It was just really nice for people to be like together again and singing and stuff like that. And people really got into it, like much more than people would usually be into like a Europa League group stage game like that. And I think like the players really appreciated it. They came over before and after, and I think they really looked genuinely, because like, look, I'm sure they're kind of told, look, go over to the fans, yeah, but like they really genuinely looked like they appreciated playing in front of a crowd again, and it was nice to just have that reconnection again.
Like they wanted to hug you basically, but they weren't allowed to.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah.
And we wasn't, obviously, I don't watch the game with sound because of copyright when we're at the office. So, how loud did it sound with 2,000 fans? And
So,
were you actually allowed to sing?
well, this is the thing, because there's been lots of stuff in the media about like not singing, but actually that didn't feature in any of the stuff that Arsenal sent us. So they didn't explicitly tell us not to.
Hmm.
So people did, like pretty much everyone did, and I think particularly for like the first game back, that's going to be impossible to stop.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be 2,000 Spurs fans there on Sunday. There's no way they're going to stop that, and they know that. And as long as people are masked up, like I'm sure that's not too much of an issue, to be honest. But it was weird because I thought it would sound eerie, and it
Uh,
really didn't.
okay.
Like like you, I've been to like some of the women's games behind closed doors with no fans, and that does feel kind of eerie. And I thought, well, yeah, 2,000 people in a 60,000, that's going to feel eerie.
Yeah, and
But
the
actually,
acoustic, how does that work?
yeah, but actually, what was kind of quite nice about it is, though everyone was socially distanced, it was still all quite close together.
Yeah,
So like, it was just like a band of 2,000 fans around, like, 15, 20 blocks or whatever. So it was almost like a socially distanced away end. So it's not like there were loads of people in the back of the upper tier. Like, everyone was fairly close together, and actually that made like the sound quite easy to carry, and it was
yeah,
quite easy to get involved with the chanting and stuff because people were all kind of in the lower tier. So it sounded, I thought it would sound weird, and it
good.
didn't really.
I have
It's
to
only
ask,
the like away fans that was weird.
I have to ask though, genuinely, were the fans given like a halftime talk? Because it looked like on TV at the second half, everyone was just sat rigid, looked like sergeant drill, getting into formation, like they were sat down. There was no more singing. There was hardly clapping, except for when we scored. Was you told not to do anything during half?
No, no, it wasn't that. I think it was just a little bit like the novelty starts to wear off a little bit, and the game's kind of over, and it's getting colder. And that's the other thing about only 2,000 fans being in, right? It's colder when there are fewer people,
Yeah,
and so it was like, yeah, it kind of calmed down a little bit, and I kind of expected that after that initial, certainly first half, kind of atmosphere. But yeah, in the second half, it did dial down, which I completely expected.
and how on earth? I know I'm dragging this on now, but how on earth did that fan in front of you? Because he made a TV cameo a lot of times for that banner. And was he behind the goal? Sure, he was behind the goal. No.
No, I was at the side, so there was
Oh.
there might have been more than one, but there was a little kid in front of me. He
Mm,
must have been about 11 years old or so, who was
yeah,
holding it. He was in front of me at the side.
yeah.
There might have been another one kicking around. I'm sure there's probably loads of them
Quite a
kicking.
few. There was one that said COVID nil, Arsenal won. There were quite a few banners. There was a birthday one. Yeah, but banners are allowed now? How did they manage to just get that in and just keep it up the whole game? Stewards
I,
didn't turn it down.
I don't know, actually. Yeah, I don't really. They didn't say like not to bring. Well, it was like a little A4 sign, so
Yeah,
I think you probably can't bring like
yeah,
a
yeah,
proper banner, but like a little bit of A4.
yeah,
Probably not as much of a problem, but these are like all these like weird things that we probably never like had to think about before. Like, are you allowed to bring in like a bed sheet or a bit of A4 paper? But yeah, and also like the kid in front of me was like 11. Like, I don't think the stewards were gonna
yeah.
get heavy-handed with him.
I have to say, I know we're speaking about Europa a lot now, but I don't know how you feel. You said it was emotional being there, but honestly, when Pepe teed up the ball to Ainsley Maitland-Niles and when he squared it to Emil Smith Rowe, and then when they celebrated together, I actually got a bit emotional and almost
Mm.
cried. Don't know why. Could be, time of the month. I actually don't know. I got really emotional, and I was like, "This is so sweet." The Haaland boys scoring, assisting, the celebration. It was just all very, because fans like us and whoever else have seen them grow up. Really,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
see them do it at the Emirates, and I know it's a Europa League, but it's a European night, and the first game back for fans, it was all just so emotional.
Yeah, and for Smith Rowe as well, a guy who's been injured a lot, the last couple of years, and is probably feel like that his career hasn't quite taken off quite yet in the way that we thought it might 2 years ago because of all the injuries. And so for him, particularly to come back into a game with a bit of a crowd and score in front of a crowd, like, I hope that's given him a real lift. But yeah, like when I feel almost like quite avuncular about it, like when when like the Hale End boys like combine to score a goal, and you think, that those are my guys, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It is really nice. Yeah, definitely.
I won't keep you for too long, but I do want to ask this question because I pinned it, forgot to ask you about it because I started talking about Emirates Stadium and getting the fans back in. But what is your stance on Mesut Ozil?
So, like, as a player, yeah, absolutely, we need him. I don't think he's the player he was. Like, even when he was playing, he wasn't setting up loads of goals or anything. I don't think that's entirely his fault,
Yeah,
but he was definitely, he was playing well, and he's got like a technical level that no other player in our squad has, and we missed that definitely. As for whether I think he should be left out or whatever, honestly, I just don't know, because it depends what he's done
yeah.
to
I
do
can't. I don't
that.
know about you, but I can't wait for that autobiography or whatever it is to come out.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I don't know exactly what's gone on, and therefore it's like I find it really difficult to judge without having that level of detail. Because
Yeah,
for all I know, he might have been really, like, really, really bad, and he might completely deserve it. He might not. Like, I don't really know, and
yeah.
therefore I don't have like a hugely strong stance on it. What I will say is, look, he is going to go soon, and that's that. Like, he is going to go at the end of the season.
Mhm.
To me, what's important is we get a player who does something like that. Whether it's like a straightforward number 10, but we need a creative player, definitely.
Musin, I don't know where he gets his information from, so don't quote him on this, guys. Says that Ozil's coming back in January. Who knows? He might get re-registered.
That wouldn't surprise me. It
Who
it
knows?
wouldn't. Like, if he's trained well for the last couple of months, it wouldn't surprise me.
They'll
It
be
wouldn't
like, "Here you
surprise
go,
me at
fans.
all.
Here's your January transfer signing."
Yeah, yeah. And
You've been
yeah,
asking for him. Yeah. Musin says Saka is the first name on the score sheet, definitely ahead of Aubameyang. Well, if we're going with Tim's score line, it's going to be the only name on the score sheet.
well, yeah. And like, we struggled to score one goal, let alone more than one. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Here's what I envision. They call me premonition pits because I have these like moments where I just think random things and somehow they come to life. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked on lottery numbers yet, but on other things it has. And I had this really strong premonition that somehow Willian's going to score a crazy free kick from just outside the box. What was the other thing that I said? A centre back is going to, I don't know which one, maybe David Louise or Gabriel is going to score from a corner, which is also going to be a Willian assist. And then I said that Leno's going to assist the goal somehow from a goal kick. That one was a bit mad, but that it could be that. And somehow we get 3 goals and we're on form again.
I'd be absolutely delighted if even one of those came true.
Hopefully my powers work this weekend, but maybe because I said them out loud, they won't now, but who knows. There's one more comment I wanted to see here. We answered this already at Shockey about will Pablo Mari feature against Tottenham on Sunday.
No, on the bench, but definitely not starting. No.
Ham's Master says, to be honest, against Tottenham, you can try to play counter-attacking football because Tottenham struggle breaking low blocks, but playing attacking is worth it. So I'll say try to get Aubameyang in the game. We've been trying that all November.
Yeah.
We've been trying that.
Like, that is definitely the key. Like,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. Like, the more we can get if we get Aubameyang into the game plenty, like, we'll be fine. That means we'll be playing well.
Yeah, and he also goes to say, as long as you make Son and Kane quiet, they're not going to cause any offense. There's still questions about whether Kane is playing this weekend. I think that's Mourinho mind games, to be honest with you.
Definitely.
Because 100%, he does it all the time, man. Who was it? He did it at Manchester United recently. Was it Pogba? It was one of their key players at the time.
Yeah. Like, of course he'll play.
Yeah. Here's a good question. Are you guys worried that, because we had a big conversation about this just about 5 minutes ago about the fans? I didn't ask you if you felt like they lifted up the gameplay, but are you worried that since there'll be 2,000 Tottenham fans on Sunday, will Arsenal manage to beat or get a draw against Spurs? So do you feel like the Arsenal fans at the Emirates lifted up their play, because they were playing it differently? They was popping the ball. It was fluid.
Put it this way, I'd rather this game was behind closed doors. Like 2,000 Spurs fans with no Arsenal fans there. Like, yeah, that's definitely not an unfair advantage, but like, that's definitely an advantage. If you gave me the choice between that and behind closed doors all day long. So
100%.
yeah, I do worry about that a little bit. Yeah.
Hams again says, Jorge, I guess he's replying to a comment, says, I'm a Chelsea fan. I will say if Kane doesn't play, then you only have to do with Son and whoever should be a good boost. Don't forget Ndombele.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that Kane's playing, so
Yeah.
there's no point in speculating on it.
Willian masterclass. I don't know why I had this vision. I don't know why it came to me, but if it happens, then I might get Willian on the back of my shirt. No, I'm joking. We need Ozil in the team because we lack creativity. Yes, we know.
Absolutely.
Muslim says Willian gets taken off 65th minute. The old man can't do a full 90. He is an actual Chelsea reject. I can accept Louise, but Willian, give me a break. Muslim, you've been very negative in this stream today, you know. One of our members, you should be setting an example.
I think Willian's a better player than he's shown so far. Whether we should have signed him or whatever, or whether he's brilliant, he's better than he's shown so far. He played well for Chelsea last season, and I don't believe that you just go from like good to crap overnight. But
what about Charles says? What about trying Willian in the number 10 role?
Maybe. To be honest, I've never seen him play well anywhere other than the right wing. And I've seen him a lot. I used to cover the Brazilian national team and stuff like that. Yeah. So I've watched a lot of Willian down the years, and to me, he is a right winger. Like, that is what he is. I don't like him on the left. I don't like him central. Like, I think he's the most out and out like right winger that I can think of. And I think he has been really good in that position in recent years.
Yeah.
Don't really like him in other positions, to be honest.
Okay, give us a little scoop for any of the top players at the time when you covered the Brazilian national team, because we seem to be getting them in. Willian, Gabriel, Martinelli, David Luiz. Which other Brazilian player would fit into an Arsenal team? Not that I actually know of any, except for the very popular ones.
Well, do you know what? A player who's had like a bit of a weird career trajectory, who's just broken back into the Brazil team, is Douglas Louise, who plays for Villa at the moment. So he was at a Brazilian club called Vasco da Gama.
Do you have the blonde hair?
Really? Yes. Yeah. Really, really top talent there. And then Man City got him, and same old story that you usually get when young players go to Man City. Went to Man City, didn't play, went out on loan, didn't work. It's gone to Villa, done really well, is now in the Brazil starting lineup. I think Douglas Luiz is a really good player who'd fit in. Really, for me, he'd be like a really good Xhaka replacement.
There you go for everyone. This is why we got Tim on the show. For everyone that was saying Xhaka this, Douglas Luiz, what are we saying? Look, said he can fit into the system, whatever system that is. So we don't know what we have at the moment, but he can fit into the squad. Listen, I've taken up enough of your time. I've loved having you as a guest. And for anyone that doesn't know, Tim and I actually have a joint podcast on Arse Blog, we cover the Arsenal women's team as well. So
Indeed.
For anyone who wants to learn a bit more about Arsenal women, Arsenal Football Club in general, just where can they find it, Tim?
Yep, on arseblog.com. So if you subscribe to the Arsecast on wherever you get your podcasts, you'll get the Arsenal Women Arsecast as part of that. And yeah, that's Pippa and I do that together as co-hosts. So yeah, absolutely do that. And look, we do things as well, like the episode we recorded today, that are not always like the episode we recorded today, for example. You don't really have to know a lot about the Arsenal women team to really get something from it and enjoy it. We try to do like wider subjects as well. So yeah, definitely check it out.
Worth a listen, definitely. But Tim, thank you so much. I feel like we've taken up each other's day because we filmed a podcast today. An hour in here, but it's been a pleasure, and hopefully we can be smiling on Sunday.
Indeed, pleasure was all mine. Always a pleasure.
Guys, make sure I'm sure you follow him already, but Stillberto, you don't even plug in yourself. At Stillberto. I mean, he's got the followers, he knows already. At Stillberto on Twitter, the man indeed. But thank you for joining me. And guys, take care. I will see you on Sunday. But if we lose, you might not see me. But we'll see. Take care. Fingers crossed. Bye, guys.